I did a story the other day about William Tyrrell, the missing boy who's been missing since 2015. Well, today, police have started digging up the front yard of his foster grandmother, and they believe that they're really close to getting a person of interest. So I thought we'd have a look at this story because it is developing, and hence why I thought we'd do it as a live, to try and get some information out there. So William Tyrrell's foster grandmother's yard is currently being dug up. So police close in on person of interest in William Tyrrell's disappearance as a fresh search continues. So the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, the ABC, is reporting this, that they've identified a new person of interest as they carry out a fresh search for the remains of missing toddler William Tyrrell. They believe that they're only going to find remains. This morning, officers returned to the house of Tyrrell's foster grandmother, where he was last seen in September 2014, and began searching an area directly below a second-story balcony. So a cadaver dog used to detect human remains has been scouring the property too. Police are also scouring an area of bush about 1 kilometre away from the house. Now, he was 3 years old when he disappeared from his foster grandmother's yard, and there's a colonial inquest expected to be handed down next year because the coroners, I think, made some findings. That's why they're searching for remains. Police Commissioner Mick Fuller said there was one person in particular detectives were focusing on as their investigations into the 3-year-old's disappearance continued. These officers have been working tirelessly to get to this point, he told News. He told 9 Radio. The search areas are from where they've been searching. So location where he disappeared, and then these. So yesterday, police, and I talked about this yesterday, the other day, that police were launching a search for his remains. So police launched a high-intensive search that expected to take in 3 locations in and around the town of Kendall. So we've got the locations here. Hundreds of officers and rural fire service personnel are involved in the operation, and it could take up to 3 weeks. So they've said it's going to take 3 weeks to scour the whole area. Commissioner Fuller said he was certain police would solve the case despite it being 7 years since Tyrrell disappeared from the front yard of his foster grandmother's house. There's one person in particular we are looking at. I am confident that the team that has the investigation now can solve it. I truly believe that, and I have from the start. I ask that people continue to be patient and trust the officers. So this is a picture of the front garden of William Tyrrell's foster grandmother's house. As you can see, police are going through it. Commissioner Fuller said the current team of investigators, led by Detective Chief Inspector David Laidlaw, inherited a bit of a mess but have really cleaned up the investigation. He said time had been wasted in the past and some people had needlessly come under suspicion. Former Detective Gary Jubilan, who has led several high-profile homicide investigations, was in charge of the Tyrrell case until 2019 when he resigned. He was eventually charged and convicted for illegally recording phone conversations with person of interest Paul Savage. In 2018, he was involved in a physical altercation with a fellow detective on the Tyrrell case over lack of progress on the investigation. So again, this is the grandmother's home, and the police are searching the yard for the remains of William Tyrrell. Police hope a major development is now as little as 2 weeks away, and Detective Chief Superintendent Darren Bennett said the renewed search operation had sparked new evidence. We think this provides us with the best chance of finding him. We conceded it was doubtful the boy was still alive. It is likely that if we found something, it would be a body. We are looking for the remains of William Tyrrell. No doubt about that, he said. So they're clearing the land here. Tyrrell was last seen in a Spider-Man outfit playing with his sister on the front lawn. This is the picture that has haunted many of us for many years. Hundreds of New South Wales police and forensic vehicles were yesterday seen around the small coastal town. When asked if officers had been chopping down trees, Detective Chief Superintendent Bennett said they were clearing ground. They were clearing ground in 3 specific areas. Despite extensive searches conducted and an inquest into his disappearance, he said the operation was checking new locations and involved a different type of search method. He said he was very hopeful that we can bring this matter to some sort of conclusion. The findings from an 18-month-old colonial inquest into Tyrrell's disappearance, which began in March 2019, is supposed to be handed down this year. Or it was supposed to be handed down this year. Thousands of pieces of evidence and leads were considered, and the inquest heard emotional testimonies from his family, including from his sister, who vowed to become a police officer one day to find him. That's actually very heart-wrenching, actually. Including his sister, who vowed to be a police officer so she could find him. That is actually, that's making me tear up. Deputy State Coroner Harriet Graham is expected to deliver her findings early next year. Detective Chief Superintendent Bennett said police activity was in response to evidence we have obtained in the course of the investigation, not speculative in any way. He said finding the body would be a development, but not the end of the police probe. I'm not anticipating a swift end to the investigation by any means. Police said $1 million reward leading to the capture of Tyrrell's abductor was still available. So there you have it. The police are now searching the foster grandmother's front lawn for the remains of Tyrrell. Unfortunately, it looks like it is going to be finding a body or the remains. We're not going to find that cute little boy alive. It's interesting, just the other week we had Cleo Smith, and that was a really good, positive story. And now we've got this little munchkin here. And I just hope that they can find him so that he can be laid to rest and laid to rest properly. So what are you all thinking? Any thoughts? There's no implication that there's any family members involved at this point in time. They're just searching. I just want to make that clear too. I'm not going to speculate that. Hello, Robin. How are you? So I won't be going live in the evenings for the time being. I've got this cold that is triggered at night, and it's not very. So I'll probably try and jump on during the days for a little bit and do some uploads. But I was going to upload this, and I thought, no, I'll come on live because this is developing as we speak, and I think it's real. I mean, I hope that, as I said, I hope they just find him, and so that he can be laid to rest. So it is such a sad case. I mean, it is a case that has gone all around the world as well. But they do have a person of interest, which I think is really good. So hopefully somebody will be held accountable. But yeah, it's sad all round. It really is. Hello. Yeah. Well, I did too, Diamond. I did too. It's interesting that the police admitted that there was some mucking around and some shenanigans that went on that delayed the case. And I think that I think that is also sad because really, oh, by the way, my COVID test came back negative. I had to have the dreaded COVID test because of the fact that I've got this cold. And the cold has come about because I work in a tin shed that's cold. And it was 3 degrees the other night. And yeah, came home, went to bed, and I couldn't warm up. So my nose started to run. Oh look, I'm doing all right. It's actually a cold. So the fact that I've ruled out COVID means we know that it's just a cold, and I can say, hey, it's just a cold. So yeah. So tonight at work, I just have to make sure that I wear my mask and everything, and just keep the height, keep sanitizing. Yeah, so I won't be streaming at night for a little while. I just need to get over this. So do you reckon? So what are your thoughts about their searching? Do you reckon they'll find him? Yeah, so tonight I'm actually going to take a scarf with me. I usually wear a beanie because I work in a place where you have to have high vis stuff. So I'll probably have a beanie. I'll probably wear a jacket and then put my vest over top of my high vis vest over my jacket. I'll just try and keep myself all nice and warm. So do you think they'll finally find him? Do we think that he will be found? Do we think that he can eventually be laid to rest? I mean, it's been a long time. And that picture definitely tugs at the heartstrings. I know, perfect for my health. I know. But then I'm a casual, so if you don't work, you don't get paid, unfortunately. So, yeah. Well, the only thing they're going to find, Cal, is a body or remains, I guess. They're not going to find. It's not as if they're going to find him because he'd be 7 now, because he was 3 when he disappeared. He'd be 7 now. So, and they've admitted that they're looking for remains. They don't expect. Well, yeah, I think that's the main thing. Diamond, I think the most important thing now is to allow the family to be able to lay him to rest, and give him that, give them that closure. Oh, he'd be 10 now. See, I can't add. My brain's gone fried. Hello, short order cook. How are you? So, yeah, I'm just fascinated. The alert just came on my screen. I thought it was really, but I think it's really interesting though that they're back at the grandma's house, the foster grandparents' house, and they're looking particularly at a part under the balcony. That's very interesting. That the specific part that they're only looking in three places. Again, let me show you. They're looking at the foster grandmother's house and 2 areas in a national park. So this is the grandmother's place, and then these are the other 2 locations here. So, yes, that is the same house, short order cook. Yes, he went missing from his foster grandmother's house, and they're back there. So let's have a look at this. This is 5 minutes. So this is from the media release, or the. You'd
all be aware of the disappearance of Tyrrell in September of 2014. That investigation still sits with the State Homicide Squad, and that's working actively in recent months and years to solve the crime. So today I'm alerting the media that we're going to be doing some operational activity in the Kendall area over the coming weeks. That's going to involve many hundreds of police officers involved in searching a number of locations. This activity is in response to evidence we've obtained in the course of the investigation. It's not speculative in any way. We're acting on behalf of the coroner, and in conjunction with coronial orders, she will be kept updated with regard to our progress. We won't be providing daily commentary about what's taking place, as you understand. There's a large amount of work to be undertaken. We're using specialist areas and people from outside the police force. We're very hopeful that we can bring this matter to some sort of conclusion, and I thank you for your ongoing interest. I'd also like to remind everyone from the public that there's still a $1 million reward for information leading to the conviction of a person with regard to this. So if you have any information, please ring Crime Stoppers or the local police. Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, about hundreds of police officers, which talks about a specific geographical area. You can't get specific to the hundreds of police officers. Can you tell us more about this?
So we're anticipating 2 to 3 weeks of work. In that time, there'll be hundreds of police officers and other people engaged. There's a number of locations and a very high intensity search being planned. So that's the amount of people we'll require.
Are you really encouraged by the fact that of all the thousands of leads applied, this is on the back of something that's headed in a very specific direction?
This is in response to evidence we've obtained in the course of the investigation. There's no doubt about that.
So they've got some evidence. Oh, thank you very much, Robin. Thank you very much for your super chat. That's lovely. That's very generous of you. That's all I get on my screen. I guess you can see it. So it sounds like they've found some new evidence. As I said, they've got a person of interest now that they're honing in on. Maybe they've interviewed them or they've discovered, I don't know. I don't want to speculate, but it looks like they've had some information come through.
There's an investigative review that's been undertaken, which is an ongoing process, but this is also new evidence.
So the challenge is that that's supposed to have the findings early this year. That obviously hasn't happened yet. Do you anticipate more hearings, or obviously believe there's more evidence that needs to be presented?
So the coroner is well aware of this. There's a scheduled coroner's inquest to continue early into the new year. We don't have specific dates yet, but the coroner's involved in our investigation and we're responding to orders. There'll be a number of strategies used by the police and other agencies to clear ground and go subterranean in a number of locations. There's 3 specific locations, and they're all in the Kendall area.
Now, David Laidlaw's recently said publicly that he believes he knows who took William. Do you want to reiterate that today? Do you know who took William?
I don't know who took William, but we're hoping to find out through this investigation.
To be clear,
it's highly likely that if we found something, it would be a body. We are looking for the remains of William Tyrrell. There's no doubt about that.
So that's interesting. They've now said we're looking for the remains of William Tyrrell, which I think is really, really, which would be devastating to hear that. I think, that's really heartbreaking that there is no hope anymore of finding the little boy alive.
there's also been a subpoena delivered to Channel 10, which is quite about the material investigation. Is this related to any of what's happening?
There's a lot of activity in and around this investigation. It's all related.
So they said that there was I don't know whether you heard that, but there was a subpoena issued to Channel 10, one of the media thing, and a podcast on William Tyrrell for their information. So obviously there's something brewing and we'll find out.
We're hopeful that it'll take us a degree towards proving an offence or finding out what happened to William Tyrrell. I'm not anticipating a swift end to the investigation by any means.
There was a very thorough search conducted a few years before the inquest started that covered a huge area around where William disappeared. Will this be going over old ground?
No, it's new locations and it's a different type of search method. And as you know, that search that was previously done found nothing.
Now that's interesting that it's new locations. So does that mean that they never searched the grandma's? They never did a search in the grandmother's or the grandparents' house? It's interesting, isn't it?
We've got some specialist assistance with regard to what we're going to do. I'm not going to go into the technicalities of it, but suffice to say, experts from outside the police force will be assisting us. and providing guidance to the police of what they're going to do.
When you speak of new evidence, does this come from what we call human intelligence? Do you have a human being who is guiding this search?
It's on the holistic nature of a number of pieces of evidence that we brought together in terms of analysis, and we think this provides us with the best chance of finding it.
So it's not because you've got to step off from it.
I'm not going to go into specifics.
Is this in relation to a suspect who's previously been ruled out that you've now doing our investigation?
I'm not going to go into any specific suspects or ruling anyone out.
So there you go. So that was the press conference from the police. So just to repeat that the police are looking for the remains of missing toddler William Tyrrell, and they're searching at the foster grandmother's home and 2 places about 1 kilometre away from the bush. So and I think Short Order's correct. Short Order said this was not the outcome people were hoping for. We were always very hopeful that he would be found and alive, but now that has just we now know that we're looking for remains. It'd be interesting to see how long that they will have been there. So again, just to show you the picture, that's the front of the foster grandmother's house that police going through. That's another picture of the police, and there's particularly they're particularly interested with the area under the balcony. So, which I find to be very interesting that they're interested. Why that specific location, I don't know. So again, and that's a picture of the bushland. Well, I am too, Short Order Cook. It's very concerning. It's very, very concerning. And just to give you that picture again, he looks, what a gorgeous little boy, So I'll keep you updated as the reports come through with this case. I'm not really trying to get into all of these missing person cases or anything like that. I just try and find things that are of interest. And I found it very interesting that the police were looking for remains and that they've gone back to the foster grandmother's house. So that's really what's got my interest on this. As I said, I won't be back. I won't be streaming at night for the next. I might probably take a week off night streaming, and I'll try and do some during the day. I might do some during the day, and I will. I forgot what I was going to go. I'll do some streams during the day, and I'll do some recorded stuff. But anyway. Heartbreaking. I was too traumatized to sleep. Yeah. Well, and I mean, if it can happen, I guess he was playing with his sister. So what does his sister know? That's the other thing. That's the thing that's come to my mind, because he was playing out the front with his sister and he's disappeared. And I can't remember whether she was older or younger. I can't remember any of that. I don't know the full background of the story, but she does want to be a police officer so she can find her brother. But what images or what does she, or what does she have to live with and dealing with, being there? Yeah. Oh, I don't know. As I said, I don't know whether his sister. I thought it's. She was 5 at the time. So William Tyrrell's sister was 10 years old in 2020. So this is something from 2020. William Tyrrell's sister. Williams tells Inquest into his disappearance she'll become a detective and solve the abduction mystery. So Tyrrell's 10-year-old sister made an emotional promise to find her sibling, telling an inquest into his disappearance she wants to become a detective and solve the case. The pair were playing tigers on the lawn of their foster grandparents' home in Kendal on the mid-north coast of New South Wales when the 3-year-old vanished in 2014. William's sister, who cannot be named for legal reasons, recorded a message which was playing at the end of a 19-month inquest into the 3-year-old's suspected abduction. I hope this speech makes you solve the case. If it doesn't, when I am officially adult, I will be in the police force, a detective specifically, and I will find my brother. I will not give up until he is found. Please help my family, most of all me, find our precious William. William's foster mother had been supervising the pair, but when she went inside to make a cup of tea, William disappeared. Police have identified hundreds of persons of interest in the years since, but nobody's been charged. William's foster parents, who cannot be named for legal reasons, became emotional as they handed a book of photographs to Deputy State Coroner Harriet Graham before she closed the inquest at the Lidcombe Coroner's Court in Sydney. So this was from 2020. So there we go. So he was playing with his sister. William was a jovial and boisterous little boy. His sense of humour and cheeky antics was always made us smile, the foster father said. His giggles were infectious and everybody loved being around him, including us. The initial search went on for 9 days before the foster family were forced to return home to Sydney. William's empty car seat next to his sister's, next to the back seat, absolutely tore our hearts, the foster mother said. She continued to ask where her brother was. She was deeply missing her best friend. We have no answers. Our family was living a nightmare. Their testimony was followed by a statement from William's biological parents, read out by their lawyer, who was joined in the witness box by the biological grandmother. And as you can see, this whole matter is very complex because you've got biological, you've got fosters. It's very complex. William was put into foster care not long after he was born, and the court heard his biological father has never been the same since. It was a traumatic experience for both. Having William take away broke his heart. He has never stopped hurting. We had 6 years of pain and broken promises. We are still grieving. We are angry. We are frustrated. We want answers. We want to thank the coroner. We think she cares. Deputy State Coroner acknowledged the suffering endured by both families and thanked them for sitting through more than a year and a half of harrowing evidence. So the colonial findings were handed down, and that's why and that is why now they're looking for, I think it was delayed, but that's why they're looking for remains now based on what came out of that colonial inquest. So the sister would be 11 now. So, as I said, you've got to wonder. But it's definitely a very messy case with government departments and agencies involved. And, you know, we could speculate until the cows come home, but that's not going to solve what happened to the poor little boy. And so, yes, he was playing tigers. So, and this is the Spider-Man. I think it will be. I guess it will change. Well, it's interesting that they've talked about an abduction here. So, yeah. And if he was taken the moment his foster mother went in to make a cup of tea, you would have to say that somebody was watching the home, wouldn't you? Because, again, it was opportunistic. It seems like it was opportunistic. From what's been reported, it looks like it was opportunistic. Oh, look, it was a long time ago. Yeah. So the coroner has stated it's unlikely, has ruled that it's unlikely he's alive. We need to go looking for some remains. As I said, for me, I just hope they can find him so that there can be some closure for everybody. And we can put this. Well, that's the sad thing is short order cook. it then moves to probably murder, doesn't it? Which makes it even worse. In my opinion. Well, you know, the guy that took Cleo Smith has got abduction charges, but she ended up being safe, and he did, as far as we know, he did nothing to her. But poor William looks, you know, if they find him, looks like he may have been murdered, which is pretty horrifying. So, yeah. Anyway, I'm going to head off. Thank you for watching, and thank you for joining me. And anyway, as I said, I'll give you these. I'll keep you updated. And we'll see what comes about. So I only just want to wish the police officers all the best. All right, thank you. Oh, look, I call her Chloe all the time. Short order. I keep having to remember it's Cleo. But I think the Cleo Smith thing has just given all the police that's bringing their step to keep going. But unfortunately, we don't have a happy outcome like Cleo. However, we may get some closure, and hopefully the people responsible are brought to justice and are punished. So anyway, thank you for joining me, and I will see you again sometime. And until next time, bye for now.